r/ask Reddit. Serious, kids of Reddit. What do your parents think they're hiding that you know about? My dad plays this game called Wordscapes and he looks up cheats. I just pretend to act surprised when he shows me how fast he finishes the levels. Me. You can cheat on that game? I mean, interesting. Furiously Googles cheats in Keep Up in tournaments. Mom told me she got her tubes tied after she had my sister. She told me this when I had questions about babies when I was younger. Anyway, 20 years later she became pregnant again. I asked her about it and she insisted that she got her tubes tied and that the surgery was botched and wasn't 100% effective. True. My dad, divorced about 18 years ago from my mom, found out from me about the baby. I forget specifically how the conversation went. I told him something along the lines of, "Bro, it must suck getting your tubes tied after sister was born only to get pregnant 20 years later." He laughed. I asked him why he laughed and he asked, "Did she really tell you that she didn't want her tubes tied after your sister? So I got a vasectomy instead." I also had a good laugh. Not sure why she'd lie about something so small, but if it means that much to her, then I won't say anything. They might have broken up over wanting more kids. My dad says he met my mother because my mother's sister introduced them, but I am pretty sure my dad was actually dating my mother's sister first. It's true either way. The copious amounts of sex that they have. Thin walls, guys. Glad their relationship is still alive. D. Yep, haha. I'm pretty sure that my parents don't even love each other, comma. I'm pretty sure my parents don't even love themselves. When we designed our house we put the master bedroom all the way across the house from the kids' bedroom as well as the opposite end of the house as the kids' playroom, where they'll spend most of their time. We had a designer and she asked if we were sure we wanted to be so far away from our baby's room. My answer was, this isn't the 50s. We have baby monitors and babies requiring attention at night only lasts for a couple of years. I am thinking long term here. Same. They know I can hear it, so they try to wait till I'm asleep. Thing is, I stay up way later than they think I do. Next time you'll listen when your parents tell you to go to sleep. Got the same issue. I just put my headphones on and listen to music loud. I just fight back by watching porn without headphones. Pro virgin move. Well, I found my mother's vibrator once and also I know where they hide the Christmas presents every year and where they hide the stash of Coca-Cola. Are we talking soda or blow? My dad used to be a smoker but quit outright as soon mom got pregnant, or so he leads us to believe. I know he doesn't smoke cigarettes, but he should keep his car floor cleaner if he didn't want me noticing his discarded cigarillo mouthpieces. Whatever he does, he made sure I didn't grow up around secondhand smoke, so he gets good dad points for that. Good dad points for not wanting you or your siblings to be inhaling that hit. That's one thing I'm grateful my parents did. Even though they were smokers, they never smoked in the car with me until a few years ago. I quit smoking about 4 years ago, and by quit I mean I'd still smoke when I was very stressed or anxious. Nothing made me quit for real faster than holding my son for the first time. I made my choices about smoking, but I don't want them to be exposed to any of that, even secondhand or on my clothes. Ever think that he's smoking weed? Plenty of people use cigarillo tips as roaches. How fast and rapidly my grandma's health is degenerating. Try to see her as often as possible. I'm 24 and still cry when I remember promising my grandma I'd visit, but not visiting before it was too late. Sure, I was a dumb kid, and she'd understand, but there's a part of me that cannot forgive myself. Guess it's painful to think about because I was such a lonely kid, but wasn't wise and considerate enough to realize there was a Wonder Woman who wanted more than anything to spend time with me. Agreed. I spent what I thought was plenty of time with my grandma when I was a teenager, helped her with errands and stuff, but I'd give nearly anything to see her again. That my mom ran over my dog. Oh, that's sad. All of the dirty jokes. My mom made dinner once. Steak. Mom. That's a big piece of meat. My dad. Wait, have I heard that before? Me. Whoa, HH. My dad. Wait, you weren't supposed to get that. He's learned to appreciate the fact that I get them now, though. Ducking what? LOL what? How old were you for them to think that you wouldn't get it? I was 13 at the time LOL. My dad almost had an affair but he backed out right before my mom caught him. She was considering divorce but she didn't go through because of me and my brother. I only know because I overheard them at night. Are they doing better now? This is a pretty common set of actions when a marriage is struggling. One considers divorce, one for straight for an affair. It sounds like they both changed their minds for their own reasons, not because of some huge confrontation ultimatum, which means they both still care in some way. My dad smokes weed and I recently found out. I went over to my friend's house for a party and people were smoking. I never knew what weed smelled like until I went to that party and it dawned on me that my dad smelled just like that house almost all the time. Day after the party I found his stash. As far as I know he only smokes in his bathroom or when I'm at school. Their huge stash of condoms and a pair of dice with different sex positions and where to do it. Stash of condoms with expiration date of 2005. Oh my god, you just explained so many unplanned kids. Imagine if you bought condoms from Costco, thinking you'd never need to buy a crate of rubbers ever again. I caught them smoking out of an acrylic bong when I was like 6 and I always remembered the distinctive shape parts. I called them out on it when I was like 10 and found out what it was and they tried convincing me it didn't happen, which pissed me off. I don't have a problem with my parents smoking weed, but I did have a problem with them telling me I imagined it. My mother is unaware that I am fully capable of hearing her many phone calls to her friends in which she complains about what a horrible disrespectful daughter she has. Edit. Row. I'm surprised at how much attention this got. To provide a little more backstory, I am not this typical problem child disrespectful kid that may warrant this behavior from my mother. It's quite the opposite, and that is why it is hurtful. I have a lot of good accomplishments that my mother doesn't give a crap about, like having an unweighted 4.0, being very involved with school, never having a disciplinary issue, never so much as vaped, consistently glowing reviews from parent-teacher conferences, etc. To put into perspective what my mother considers massively disrespectful, she once screamed at me for hours. Not exaggerating. It was actual screaming and it was actual hours long, because I said the words I know when she told me to do something I always do. It sounds like I'm leaving a lot out or there is no way that can be the whole story, but she is honestly that much of a neurotic nutcase. She considers tiny little petty stupid things like that to be massive acts of disrespect. And oftentimes she will even lie and make things up by saying I had an attitude I never had or switching my words around to make it seem like I said something a million times worse than what I actually said. Her friends never hear a single word about the good things I do. Just the occasional thing I do or don't do that she completely blows out of proportion to make me seem like the daughter from hell. If you have any more questions I'll be happy to answer them. But to the people saying to just stop being disrespectful, I wanted to give a little bit more of the story. My mom would call my grandma with similar complaints about me. I really think it adversely affected my relationship with my grandma. Her and I used to be pretty close, but the last time I visited, stayed in her house for 3 or 4 days, she barely spoke to me. I tried several times to engage her in conversation, or just chat with her, but she wasn't interested. Dad, we all know you smoke weed. One of the team members you coached told the youngest of my siblings and she naturally passed it on to all of us. Now my siblings and I smoke in my bedroom when you're sleeping. Feel free to join, but don't bring mom. She isn't being cool about it. When my kid grows up, I'll smoke with him if he's down. But I'm not going to be the weed buddy parent when he's a minor. It would make the disciplinary boundaries too fuzzy. They have a lot of sex toys and sex related stuff. They think I do not know, but I do. They may know that you know, and just figure meh. If my kid found my sex toys, he'd be one step closer to knowing that it's all perfectly okay and no big deal. And I hope he wouldn't talk to me about it. Hahaha. I accidentally overheard a phone call between my mum and my grandma. Turns out my grandpa had tried to run away from the residential home in the middle of the night. He had also told my uncle that he wished he died and that they stole his money and so on. He's better now though, but my parents still doesn't know that I know this. The only reason they got married was because my mom was expecting me. It was an accident. They were drunk. Be responsible, everybody, sad pensive face. Okay hand. But are they happy though? Doesn't matter if that was the initial reason. If they're happy, it's a worthwhile marriage. My mom and dad were victims of a shotgun wedding at 16 and 18 respectively. 31 years later they're still together and happier than ever. They did encourage me to have a stable job before knocking anyone up though. You know, sometimes it does work out. My mom had an uncle and an aunt who got married right out of high school because she graduated pregnant. This would have been during the Great Depression, in a small town. They were married until they both died within a week of each other. They must have been in their 90s. They loved each other very deeply until the end. I think there is something to be said about making the commitment early. Say when both are high school age. You can grow together and shape each other. Your personality is still developing at that age so you can build each other up. You may have been an accident but you sure weren't a mistake. They're having sex with our family friends and more. Plus my dad is maybe having sex with a guy. What the actual duck did I just read? Hell, I was expecting a lot more B-swingers in this thread. TBH. That we might be going broke. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the platinum. I did not expect this but it is greatly appreciated. Also, thank you so much for all the kind comments. I really do appreciate them. Edit 2. Apologies for a misunderstanding. I credited wrong user for giving me the award. Financials are tough on a family. Keep your chin up. You'll wake up still breathing every morning. My dad had a lot of porn on his computer and some DVDs on the movie shelf. He was bad at hiding it. He gave me his old desktop once because I needed a computer for homework. There was so much porn on it. It was like 72% porn. I had that computer for 5 years, and it was 86% free space the whole time. I honestly can't even imagine how much porn was actually on there. When he gave it to me I just deleted everything without looking and cleaned the keyboard, mouse, and screen. The whole computer was sticky. He should have at least deleted his hit before giving the computer to his 12-year-old child. God bless your soul. That every time I get told to watch the baby, they're banging in their room. Like the locked door and creaking isn't obvious. Watch the baby, we're marking a new one. My mom always tells my wife and I that she completely quit using Facebook, but she doesn't realize that everyone can see her posts and comments, and she is on there every day. I have no idea why she is trying to keep it a secret. When I was around 14 or so, I found out that one of my aunts, paternal side, got murdered and the killer disguised it as a suicide. Everything was wrong about it. The body position, the writing spelling on the suicide note. It was her fiance at the time that couldn't take rapture very well, and yup, he didn't go to jail cause he bought alibis, eyewitnesses. He ended up getting cancer and losing everything over it. Family, job, all his money and dying in a very painful and slow way. Karma is a beach. I never told my parents about me knowing about that story and finding the murderer and knowing his whereabouts and sickness. Till this day they don't know I know. Same thing happened to a family member of mine. Was not super close but she was killed by her fiancé husband and it was disguised as a suicide and he was a cop so it was easier to hide it. That they wanted a divorced. I was typing a different response but then I heard the arguing. Real time huh? Sorry dude. Well damn. Used to be. I used to do drugs. I still do but I used to too. One time I heard my mom quip to my dad that she let him put his ick in her ear once. Did it fit? From another haunting experience, knock on doors before entering. I can promise you I didn't make it in. The reason for my parents' divorce, turns out it was because I'm a girl and not a boy like my dad wanted, and the fact that my dad just ended his 5th marriage. He says it's only his 2nd. He's a hole. He really is. He still doesn't understand why I never talked to him. So he's the one that's skewing the divorce statistics so we get that misleading 50% of marriages fail. The fact that they're having sex in the next room. They have a secret code that they think is so sneaky, but I know that whenever they're going to do the money they're actually going to have sex. They go into their room, shut and lock the door, and then proceed to think no one can hear them. Next time they do this say I'm going for a walk, so you can have sex in peace. I'll be back in 45 inches. When I was a kid, I had terrible anxiety, self-hatred, and depression and even OCD. Yep, it was pretty crappy. I didn't even realize until I was 16 that my mom was struggling with the same problems. Lo and behold, I hated myself more. The 10k for my college savings in the safe. As a kid, I knew where all of my dad's porn was. His magazines, DVDs, and videos that he downloaded onto the family PC. The reason behind them getting divorced. You? No, me. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more high quality content.